Hi friends, welcome to my channel Learn English with Mr. Nemo. Let's go ahead. In today's video, we are going to learn some common phrasal verbs for business English. This video is for English language learners who are preparing for competitive exams. Let's get started. The first phrasal verb is to go after. Okay, we got two different meanings here. A, to follow someone. B, to try to achieve something. For example, A, Pam will give her talk first and Scott will go after her. B, if we got the account, they would be our biggest client. I am really going to go after the account. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to go against. It means to compete, oppose. For example, we are going against 3 or 4 other contractors, so be sure to bid low. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to go over. It means to review. For example, I want to go over last month's numbers with you. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to hand something in. It means to submit a report or a paper, etc. For example, I forgot to hand in my expense reports. Now I won't get reimbursed until next month. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to hand something out, and it means to distribute the same thing to a group of people. For example, I will start explaining the changes while Jason hands out a copy of the new policy. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to hang on. It means to wait for a short time. For example, could you hang on for a second, please? I will be right there. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to keep something up. It means to continue doing something. For example, you have been doing really well lately. Keep it up. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to let someone down, and it means to disappoint, to not help or support. For example, I was really depending on him to expedite the shipping on that order. The products are still in the warehouse. He really let me down. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. To let someone in. It means to allow to enter. For example, I forgot my badge again. Hopefully someone else is in the office and can let me in. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to look forward to. It means to be excited about something in the future. For example, I'm really looking forward to having an extended weekend next week. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to look into. It means to investigate. For example, please look into some ways we can cut costs. Every penny counts. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. To look out for. It means to be careful, vigilant, and take notice. For example, you must always look out for new business opportunities. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. To look something over. It means to check, examine. For example, could you look over this report to make sure there are no mistakes? Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. To look up to. The phrasal verb is to look up to. It means to have a lot of respect for someone. For example, I really look up to her. She has been with the company for a long time and is really knowledgeable. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. To make something up. Okay, we got three different meanings here. A. To invent. B. To resolve an argument or quarrel. C. To compensate for something. For example, A. I don't believe their story. I think they made it up. B. Are they still fighting about that? I thought they had made up a while ago. And C. I didn't get anything accomplished yesterday. I'm going to have to work extra hard to make up for it today. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to mix something up. It means to confuse two or more things. For example, I always mix their names up. Which one is Bob and which one is Brad? Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to pass something out. It means to give the same thing to many people. For example, Carly is passing out a schedule of today's events. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to put something off. It means to postpone. For example, I haven't done my taxes yet. I've been putting it off for a long time. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. To put something together. It means to assemble. For example, how long will it take to put the scale model together? Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to run into. It means to meet someone unexpectedly. For example, I ran into Stacy from accounting in the supermarket yesterday. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to send something back. It means to return. For example, the product was defective. We will have to send it back. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to set something up. It means to arrange, organize. For example, I'll set up the conference call and send you an invite. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to shop around. It means to compare prices. For example, we should bid low on this one. They always shop around. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to sort something out, and it means to organize or resolve a problem. For example, there was some confusion with the new work schedule. No one is sure who works on Sunday. We are calling a meeting to sort it out. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to take something back. It means to return an item. For example, she always shops there because she knows that she can take anything back that she is not happy with. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to think something over, and it means to consider. For example, honestly, I don't know what I am going to do. The job offer is great, but I'm not sure if I want to leave my current position. I'll have to think it over. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to turn something down. Okay, we got here two different meanings. A, to decrease the volume or strength of something. And B, reject an offer. For example, A, could you turn your music down so I can take this call? And B, they turned down our proposal. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to try something out, and the meaning is to test or use something experimentally. For example, we are going to try it out for a few weeks and let you know what we think. If we like it, we will place an order. Let's move on to the next phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to use something up. It means to finish the supply. For example, I can't believe it's only May and I have used up all my sick days already. Alright, that brings up to the end of the lesson. I hope you enjoyed the lesson and learned from it. Now please do use them, and I think it will help you speak fluently. Do practice them. Alright, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up by hitting the like button, and also do not forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button to get my latest videos right here on YouTube. Happy learning, and I will see you in another lesson soon. Bye bye.